Okay. This virtual event will be recorded and may be published for the public viewing. So, este evento virtual se grabará y se puede publicar para que el público lo vea en sitios web y el canal de YouTube. So, if you don't wish to be recorded, si no desean ser grabados, the participants can be turned off the camera and rename themselves. Los participantes pueden apagar su cámara y cambiar su nombre.
This meeting is going to be in English, but if you want to hear the meeting in Spanish, you just need to select the interpretation from the globe that is down of your screen. Esta junta va a ser en inglés, pero si ustedes quieren escucharla en español, solamente tienen que seleccionar, por favor, el globo terráqueo que está en la parte de abajo de su computadora y seleccionar el idioma de español.
My name is Janina Trujillo, I'm the president. We have Brenda Veronica, the vice president, and Fatima Alcazar, our secretary.
So we want to know what is happening in your school site council meeting this month. So if you please could share something that is happening in your school site council, please share with us. The person in the Zoom, please just share in the comments in the chat and tell us what is happening in your school site council for this month. The person right here in the room, please, you could share with another person, the person next to you, what is happening in your school site council.
So kind of go over the data.
I want to see it. I think it was like last year, but I normally attend. I just.
Friday. Can't recall everything they spoke about. I'm not part of it, but there will be one for me. So that de escolar, pero no sé de qué vayan a hablar.
It will be May 19th, right? Mayo 19 va a ser 3:15 a 4:15 en el salón 28, también por Zoom.
At the end of May. Sure. Course, so for them, sure.
¿Cuál? ¿De verano?
Well, I think for now, I'm sorry. I know you are really excited to share, but we have a really big agenda today. So if some of you could please share to all the group what you are talking about, what is happening in your school site consoles. Someone wants to share?
As I shared, we were kind of reviewing the goals that we had for the last year in preparation for writing the goals for next year and looking over the data as well. And at Rogers, it was kind of the same, although it was more focused on just goal 1 and 2, not as much 3 and 4 yet.
Wonderful.
2, I like it. 2 is good. Nice. We can raise some, well, like.
You don't have anybody, nobody shared.
Well, thank you for sharing. Okay, we're gonna share our agenda meeting objects. We're gonna share what we learned in CABE, our submitting school plans for student achievement, the CPCAC, the board was trusted in May for approval, preparing for LCAP presentation in May 14, compartiendo lo que aprendimos en CABE, presentando los planes escolares para el logro estudiantil a la Junta Directiva en mayo para su aprobación, preparándonos para la presentación del LCAP el 14 de mayo.
What is the LCAP?
That is a fantastic question, and we're going to talk about that on the agenda, and I will share that with you.
It's gonna be an interesting meeting today.
Yes.
We are going to learn a lot. But first of all, we want to talk about CABE. Some of the parents attend this fantastic conference that it was in Long Beach the last month. So we want to hear what you learned over there in CABE. Some of the parents here attend CABE? No?
No.
Want to share something?
Find the email. I went to a couple of workshops, really good ones. The ones that stood out to me the most too was Matthew Wenham. He was doing Ready for Takeoff, and he was a part of the CTE Aerospace Pathways. And it was one of the new programs or up and coming programs that they want to start exposing schools to gain students' interest in aerospace and aviation. He brought this airplane model, and there were some students that were there, and they got a chance to figure out how to build the model, put the models together, and they do a whole program. So they're going to be reaching out to schools, and of course, I volunteered Londa, our school district to make sure that they contact us to do that. And I also had a chance to go to Cinema Project. And they also do one, they've contacted our school district, yay. And they teach students how to go into, oh my gosh, she's gonna get me for this one. They teach students how to go into writing movies. So that entire, yes, for writing. So it was so amazing. It was so nice. And was one of the people was from Pixar. And it just kind of gave students a background of how to get into the industry of television and movie making. And it was a very, very, very interesting. I also had a chance to go to, it's called Infusing Critical Literacy into Friendly Languages. I am a big fan of creative learning. And one of the things that stood out that the gentleman was talking about was learning your culture and learning your language at home and then losing it. And then coming to your school and with the opportunities of dual language, if you learn it creative, if you've lost that or it doesn't feel familiar anymore, if you learn it at school in the most creative ways, it'll bring back the things that your grandmother taught or your uncle taught, and it will help you to become more bilingual and will help you to become open to teaching it to your friends. So I thought that was very interesting because a lot of dual language comes from, especially in kids, it comes from your friends. So that was a really good one. And he's from the University of Toronto, and he was talking about just teaching it more creative, opening kids to different languages, not just Spanish, he said some other language. Oh my gosh, sign language. And so I thought that was pretty cool. So I was like, wow. So yeah, that was my experience. And I got to meet a lot of people. I also got to meet one more thing at the exhibitors table. I got to meet a lady by the name of Rachel Pittman. She's the administrator of Riverside County Office of Education. And her job is to meet people that come to the exhibits that want to explore teaching. And so she's one of the people that guides you through the entire process of becoming a teacher. I thought that was pretty cool. That was my experience.
Really good experience, right? Yes, that's fantastic. That conferences are fantastic. Well, we don't have any more parents that attend the meeting, but no, I'm not sure if here or
One Eliza went to
yes.
share with the experience of CABE.
I had a really great experience. All of my workshops were really good. One of them I enjoyed was for telling us about the Justice Center that they have in every campus, like every community campus or every university. So parents were aware that they have like immigration information there for them. It doesn't necessarily have to be students. But it was also really great for them to know that once they're in college, they have a space for them, a space where they could feel comfortable. They feel they might find peers that relate. So that was really interesting for parents to know. I think it's good to like just reassure the students, like, if they're in that situation that they're safe, that there's a place for them, they can ask questions. And then the second one I attended, that one was really interesting because it talked about how language like Spanish, it's like a border thing, but it was interesting because they talked about how Spanish, like in the border, you're finding people that are from like Oaxaca that speak their native language and English, but not Spanish. So they talked about how that native language, it's, they want to nurture it and make sure that they keep it, because it does tend to like you were talking about language, how it kind of does tend to fade away. And that just happens, I guess, in a way naturally at school and, friends and peers and stuff. So that was really interesting it was an eye opener for me. And as a mom, I told myself, okay, I have to make sure I speak my native language a lot more so that I nurtured that culture also, and I don't lose like the traditions that come with it, just for them to embrace it. So that one talked a little bit more about that, which was really interesting. And then the other workshop just talked about like in our role, how do we communicate more with families? It just gave us a lot of tips of like how do we connect with you guys? What's the best way to engage you? How do we approach you? So it was a lot of really great tips of like the family engagement part, which I really, really enjoyed. But they have so many great workshops. I wish I could have gone to so many more. Thank you.
For sure.
One more thing that I learned.
Sure.
So, because you spoke something about it, I went to the parent center group and I heard that the new American dream is becoming bilingual. And I was like, oh, wow. Like wow. I was like, whoa, that was shocking.
Yeah.
In a good way. I was like, whoa, like I think having our people that our community liaisons go and then come back and share and be open to involving us in different ways. I'm just a parent that's super involved. So when I get to see our liaisons there, that I know that when they come back to our campus, that their intention is to, they say each one teach one, but is to reach each parent differently. And that's the part that I like about our school district, that we're willing to go beyond, the district and go into the communities and go into different conferences like that to make sure that they're bringing different resources and ways to keep parents connected. I like that.
Thank you for you guys for sharing. And that's why I printed some papers, because sometimes parents, they don't know what is CABE and what can benefit from CABE. So even the parent that has the students with special needs, that's a great opportunity to go to CABE. So I'm gonna share with you guys. So thank you for sharing.
Oh, yeah. So then I'm going to share. I want to share two things. I want to some different also workshop, but there's two that I want to highlight today. One of them, it was when I went to the workshop for the Instituto de Mexicanos en el Exterior. Is that for the Mexican Institute for Mexicans Abroad? They have some scholarships. So this is really good. The principal meaning for this group is to help the Mexicans living here in the United States. So they are helping the people with English classes, for example, maybe to connect with some people for immigration and maybe lawyers cheaper and things like that. But the scholarship that they are offering, it was really interesting to me because usually the scholarships are for college, right? But they are offering scholarship for all the grade levels since elementary. So this is really good. The other thing good is that they not just helping the community for the Mexican community, they are helping also all the Latino community. So the scholarships are going to be published in May. I don't have the exact date, but it's in May. So we just need to check and review if they have scholarship that maybe will be good for our kids for the school level and all these things. The only thing that you need to prove is that you're in Mexican in heritage, or if it's for all the Latino community, you're Latino in heritage. So this is one that I want to share. But for the other one, I have something to read because I don't want to forget anything. So I'm going to start with this. Okay, so this year in CABE, I attend a few workshops, but there is one that I really want to highlight. The name of the workshop was Cultivating Belonging for Multilingual Learners with Exceptional Needs. The purpose of this workshop was to be aware about what our school district is doing to create a more inclusive environment for our multilingual students with exceptional needs. We work in tables and start sharing about what our district is already doing for our kids. I share about our really new special needs family support group. And I want to make a quick pause right here to thank Miss Julie for being this bridge between this idea, and Miss Asmon that helped me to bring all this group together that is right now a really success. Thank you, Miss Jolie.
Yeah, for saying, Miss Julie, Miss Julie, Miss Julie, I asked for this last year. You didn't do it. Miss Julie, she didn't give up. And I said, yes, Brenda, we're going to do it. And I need some time. And then she, but it's taking too long. Okay. So she nudged me and she nudged me and she nudged me. And that's exactly what parent leadership is, right? You are advocating for your children and you don't let people like me say, oh yeah, I'll get to it in a minute. It's like, no, I need this now. And so I really appreciate you fighting for it and in the most polite and delicate way. I don't mean that she was fighting, but just advocating and gathering friends and other moms and saying, look, we really need this, and approaching Miss Asma and saying, look, you're in charge of special education. I need your help. And it's really blossomed into this beautiful and very well attended
Yes,
group.
really well attended. Yes, it's wonderful. It's a really good experience. Thanks, Miss Jolie. Because now we have that. So I shared this in this workshop, and I'm going to continue. Well, in the word table, I talk about the purpose of our group and how we are helping the families. The table was really thrilled to listen about this idea. When the speaker asked someone to share what we were talking in our tables, one of the person of my table asked me to share because they want that I share with all the group. All the group were really excited to hear about such a resources, but also part of the job was to have a reflection about if we are making feel our students and their families belong. And I personally feel that we need to work a little bit more in this area. I really think that this is an area to grow as a school district. They gave us a sheets to work that I want to share with Miss Julie. I have one for you again.
We're going to talk.
And it could be a really good exercise for the administrators and teachers. This is to know what we could do better as a school district. Because as a parent, I could tell you some. Special needs parents are not always feel like they belong. They usually feel like they are living apart. Me as an ordinary person with any disability, I never thought about certain situations that wasn't really inclusive until I became a mom for a child with special needs. In the work workshop, they talk about too many years ago, a lot of bilingual kids feel ashamed for speak another language that wasn't English. There was a lot in the room in that situation. They share how they feel when they were kids, how in that time they don't feel like they belong. Fortunately, now we see bilingualism like a superpower. But that feeling they experiment in the past is the same feeling that our students with special needs and their families are experiencing right now. And I really don't know the amount of parents feeling that way until I became the parent representative of the special needs support group. I realized that the parents feel more comfortable sharing with another parent, and they share to me a lot of their thoughts and also the moments that they don't feel like they belong. But the main fear for them is the lack of inclusion and bullying. Personally, I'm not feeling that way. As a Mitchell parent, my school site is the school with the major population of special needs. And I have Miss Coronel on my side. Some weeks ago, we had the book fair, and we were having a family time to shop after school. Another pathway moment, I approached to Miss Coronel and asked for a few time for just the pathway families to shop with our kids. We ought to be sorry for the behavior of our kids, but more important, with the kids not to feel overwhelming for such amount of people. She was really open to our idea and become true. Recently, I approached again to Miss Coronel with DPAC's mom because we want to make an autism awareness week for our PALS project. And again, Miss Coronel was really excited. And even when it was a short period of time to finish and polish, she was really open to help us happen. So for Miss Coronel, I always feel support. She makes me feel like my opinion matters and make me feel like I belong. And obviously also my son. Unfortunately, that this is not the story for all the parents. And my wish is that the parents on the district will feel like me, like they belong, like they matter. And I shared at the community of multilingual families an anecdote 2 weeks ago about the kids being included and invite the special needs friends to play and also share. And I feel really grateful for the inclusivity in the school. But I believe this is something is been growing with the kids at Mitchell. The special class is being around them since kinder. They grow together. They share the recess, the lunch time, the award ceremonies. They know each other, and the inclusion comes naturally. The other schools don't have the same opportunity. Some special needs kids are their peers, but usually the kids don't know when the peer have a diagnosis, and it's understandable. So they didn't learn the same. And being part of the special needs family support group, I've been hearing about these parents, how alone they feel because their population is much lower than my school site. So one of my proposals is to talk more about disability. I really believe that we need to educate more the community about the disability. Sometimes the discrimination is just the fear talking or the lack of knowledge. With a more educated community, we could build a better environment and more inclusive community. I'm going to come back with the workshop. After my comment about what we are doing good in our school district, there was another public comment for an administrator. She shared that in her school district, they have an advocate parent per school site who is the face of the special needs community of each school. I love this idea. And this is my second proposal, to have an advocate parent to represent the special needs community on each school site. I really feel like having one parent representing and be there for the important decisions will be one step for bring more representation of the special needs community and make feel the students and the families like they really belong to this district, and also empowering to participate and make the district better for our kids, but also for the kids that are coming. Thank you. So this is what I learned in CABE. Again, a wonderful opportunity to learn from other schools and to bring new ideas. So, I'm not sure if someone else want to also share.
I want to say something about that. I think that, I hope that that's something that we are working on.
Well, and I'm first now hearing it just like you, but I know Miss Brenda and I will be meeting
I vote
afterwards.
for that. But also, I think that a lot of parents, district, worldwide, nationwide, it's not that we're afraid to say that our children have disabilities or our kids are afraid. There's so many parents their children are undiagnosed. And so you don't know it. And I know that for sure with me firsthand. So I wrote a little note that says undiagnosed children, not that they have behavioral problems, but it's the behavior is the undiagnosis. So they kind of get caught into that. They don't qualify for these things because they don't look the part, they don't act the part, and according to their disabilities, they don't match the criteria. And so our kids lose, and it makes a parent feel defeated because the kid is just you're only hearing about the negative parts, but you're not hearing about maybe if we as a district kind of use some of the tools that we have for children that are diagnosed with the children that have behavioral problems, we might see a difference and then be included in that workshop, whether your kid is diagnosed or undiagnosed. And then sometimes because your child doesn't look like they have a disability, it also comes off as they're just, like they're just a troublemaker. So for sure, that will be, I think it would kind of give a little balance to the students in the behavioral areas in the classroom.
Totally. And one of the things that I also hear from other parents in this group for family support group is the persons from RAP, they are not really prepared sometimes for taking this kind of kids, even in the special in general education, because in general education we also have kids with a lower disability, but at the end is a disability, and sometimes they don't know. Also, I heard for another parent on pathways. This is on pathways that she has a girl that is obviously that the kids has a disability, and the person of RAP didn't aware until most than 1 hour after they started, and they heard this comment that maybe the kid has a disability, but it was like it needs more information also from the school and the RAP program, especially when a kid with a disability is going to be entered in the program.
Would I be able to ask you a question? Because I was at a school site council for high school last night, and they were talking. Do they speak regarding 504 plans and like those type of things? Like, did you learn about that? Because I was shocked. None of the staff there is in any way aware of like what those are, what they entail, what the legal requirements as like teachers are for the students, the accommodations, any of that. So I was just curious if that was any part of like what you like talk about at the meetings for that, the special needs group, or is it just kind of a support or
like support, but we are also helping the parents to be prepared for the IPs meeting, because too many parents doesn't know sometimes the difficult words, sometimes they don't know what are the help that already the school district is providing to us.
yes, that's what
So yeah, too much of them are not aware of that they have the right, for example, to ask for a translator, and the translator could be there, and I don't know, and other services.
no, knowing that they have the right to ask those
Exactly.
things.
Yes.
And then do you know who facilitates that for each school site, or who they could go to
Actually,
make
the person that, yeah,
they know who to tell
yeah, it
about
could
their
be,
files?
but I'm not sure where is the how the district is the function, because the person that is held in the meetings, she is the specialist for special needs. So yeah, I'm not sure who they could talk about, who's managing the RAP system. So I'm not sure about that.
Just
always you can go to your administrators, right? Your assistant principal and principal and ask for that. Also, when you enroll a child for RAP, you'd want to ask about a handoff, right? Like who is helping my child move from the classroom to RAP? And might we have a meeting beforehand to introduce my child and their needs? If they're traveling with an aide, that's one thing, but if they're going solo, we need to have that introduction. We also, the administrators are responsible for making sure the teachers know who's in their class, who has an IEP, who has a 504 plan. They facilitate meetings between the Learning Center teachers and the general ed classroom teachers at the beginning of the year to make sure that they're on the same page for what's happening. 504s might be more of a gray area because they're not always participating in the Learning Center. So that might be an area for improvement. Again,
Thank you for clarifying.
yeah, but again, as a parent, you have to be up front at the desk saying, I just want to remind you, my child has this plan in place, and could you help me understand how to educate my child's teacher about it? Could you help me understand how to educate the RAP program about it so that I feel comfortable leaving my child here? And that's a good reminder to the administrator, like, oh yeah, I need to follow up with RAP and make sure our RAP leader in the afternoon and I have a conversation, or the teacher meets with them to do that handoff. So you feel safe and comfortable.
Share my personal experience. My little one has an IEP, and if you know me, you know that I am active on every level with my kids in the most positive way, because I don't think that you should ever just, you know what I mean? But one of my kids is different because she has a 504 and she doesn't fall into the IEP space. She falls into what outside of the district, regional considers category 5, right? And so that comes with a different set of diagnosis and accommodations or whatever. In the most positive way, if I didn't have a Miss Diana, a Mr. Cody, a Mr. Derek, I would be like, oh my gosh, because my kid gives them a run for their money. A lot of it has to do with structure, right? But if you don't know, if RAP doesn't know how to accommodate those children, it is like the worst experience for the child and the staff. So in one hand, she's being taken out of a lot of things or minimized her day because it's so much for her for the day. She enjoys it on every level, but the accommodations that she needs, she can't get because RAP doesn't have that. And that's okay. Like, that's fine, because I am also one of those parents that's willing to work with it to make sure that it's, better for the next parent. Secondly, my son has an IEP. And because he functions so very well, you almost forget that, oh my gosh, if you don't have Miss Natalie, I feel sorry for you guys, because she is the absolute best, right? She hands him off, he goes to RAP, and if he has a horrible day, it's not seen as the disability or that it's more seen as the behavior every day is too much. And it's like, yeah, but that the reason this is happening is because he's either overstimulated or he's this, but because he functions so well, you almost get him confused with just behavior. So a lot of parents are turned off by that. But again, I'm a different parent because I'm willing to work with you to make sure that all kids, especially when we have a lot of RAP staff that are in school for social work and behavior, you have to know that this is your hands-on experience. So if you go home and you write an assessment like what the day was and you can apply it to your education, I think it will make you a better RAP leader, opposed to just a frustrated RAP leader that this kid is overwhelming to me on a daily basis throughout the district and the district isn't handling it. Your job is to navigate the things that you learn in the class, navigate the things that you learn here, put them together to make for a better camp group. And they say, well, that's not my job. Well, it is, when we're dealing with so many different types of kids, and we want all of our parents to be able to have that after school club or that morning RAP. I would love to support our RAP staff because it is a lot. If it's a lot for the parent, I cannot imagine that 3 to 6 p.m. like hurry up and get your kids. You know what I mean? And we don't want them to feel that way or to feel discouraged as staff, but we also want them to understand that all of our kids are so very different and the day is so overwhelming. But what can we do to support our RAP leaders, our district, to support our kids? We need a waiting list. We don't need parents to be like, no, because there's no accommodations for my kids. You know, but if we have the support that they have, that we're not burning out the RAP leaders because our kids have undiagnosed disabilities or disabilities, then I think it will become a better, more efficient RAP program. Because I would like to see them supported opposed to parents just complaining that my child is only being acknowledged for the behavior and not acknowledged through the disability, you know?
The rep program is.
I can, I'm there.
Like, I can't imagine someone complaining.
Well, I don't think it's complaining, but
No, I know, I'm
it's
just.
overwhelming when you hear every day when you pick up your child that this is the behavior and work with the kid. It's like, you have to know, you know, and I'm a parent who's in an IEP meeting and I don't think I've yet to have had a RAP leader involved unless I personally requested. So if I personally requested, think about the parents that don't know to request that if their child is in before school or after school care.
Yeah.
It should be a part of that plan, not another thing to add to the list district. I'm sorry.
Great idea. To say, at the idea, I would like all those involved in the care of my child to be there, and it never would have dawned on me to invite the RAP leader. That makes perfect sense to be on the same team.
The RAP leader, not just the supervisors of RAP, but the actual individuals that work with that child, because that's the person that's being, you know, overwhelmed with that.
Ends up, getting most of the emotional labor of dealing with it, yeah. Thank you for.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Any
Let's hear if we
Any
get that support.
parents on Zoom meeting, what they share?
I also think with an advocate parents who make these things better. The parents could know who to get close and maybe this person could may pass the voice and help these things growing better.
Good idea. Have any parents? On Zoom? No.
Okay, so then we are going to continue with our agenda. Once this,
There's some pictures in there, Jen.
some
Yeah.
pictures, yes, from Gabe. Yeah. Right here, and
No, your face is in there.
yeah.
Great pictures. Whoever took those pictures.
I just opened up a file and told everyone, dump your pictures in this file.
They did a great job. Everybody looks great. Represented.
And
Yeah.
a lot of us right there, yes. So that's wonderful. We were a lot, so this is
You are so beautifully demonstrating what I've always asked. If you go to Cabo, you bring back from Cabo, right? And you have brought back some wonderful ideas and some, you know, nudges for me and for all of us to be better. And I really appreciate that. So thank you for all that you shared.
always growing as a school district. I'm going to invite Miss Julie now.
Smart.
Yes.
So two things I wanted to share with you before we close today. One is just the check-in earlier was what's happening at your school site council. And that was my sneaky teacher way of checking to see what's happening at your school sites, because what is supposed to be happening is exactly what you reported, right? We're at the time now, and if you look at the season of our steps for the developing the SPSA, we're here now. You're getting ready to recommend your plan to the board because the board will approve it in June. So you've been working all year. Every time new data came out, looking at the data, taking a look at your plan, revising it, making some changes, making some updates. And so in the month of May, at your SSC meeting, or if you had one late April, your job is to review your newest and most up-to-date and shiny plan and recommend it to go to the board. And there's a lot of successes in there that, because a lot of the schools that are using iReady data, we have that data, so you're celebrating growth. We all know we're still waiting for SBAC data. We're still waiting for LPAC data. So when those come in, you'll address that in the fall, right? And you'll revise again, because as you see, the cycle is a circle. It goes around and around and around. So we're making plans based on today's data. And when we come back in August, we'll revise those plans based on the newest data. So hopefully you all have an SSC meeting in the next 2 weeks, or just had it, and you're doing exactly that. So I just wanted to give you the reminder. That's our job. And then I had a plant in the audience earlier who said, "What's the LCAP?" I said, "Oh, that's beautiful." Thank you for asking that question, because we are going to talk about that, because next month we're going to have an LCAP review session. So I thought today we could look at what the heck is it, so we're prepared to engage in that conversation. So if Dr. Pamilio might help me, I have copies on paper in English and Spanish there for our in-house folks. And I put, I'm about to hit in the chat. It's, for those of you on Zoom, there is an electronic link to the English and the Spanish so that we can take a look at it together and see just what is this LCAP? Does anybody off the top of their head already know what LCAP stands for?
Thank you.
Go, Brenda. You know.
Yeah, we are going to review how our district is going to spend the money from the Title I, but it's something like we are doing in our school site council, but this is going to be for all the school districts.
You are 90% correct. I want to clear up one thing. In your school site council, you look at your Title I funds specifically, but in that plan, you see your LCAP funds. The LCAP funds, or the Local Control and Accountability Plan funds, actually comes from the state of California. And that's our biggest pot of money. The Title I is actually a much smaller pot, but the district's plan and the school plan has to align. If they don't align, we have a problem. So let's take a look. Hopefully those of you in the Zoom world are able to get the link. We're passing them out here in the room. But if you look at this, it just talks about, this is from the California State PTA. I find it to be a helpful guide when you're wondering, what is it? Because we throw around these terms in education, LCFF, LCAP, and parents, and the LCAP, and the LCAP, and the people are like, what is happening? So I want to make sure you know, okay, so the Local Control Funding Formula, or LCFF, is the California School Funding Law, right? And the LCAP is the plan that the LCFF requires all districts to develop in collaboration with parents to focus on 8 key areas. Now, in Lawndale, we took those 8 key areas and consolidated them into 4. Yes.
He said that you're not sharing the screen.
Oh, let me stop and reshare. Thank you, Dan. Sometimes when I change documents, it gets confused. Okay, how's that? Can you see it now? So as I was saying, we took the 8 and consolidated them into 4. And you might recognize them on these posters over here on the wall, goal 1, 2, 3, and 4. On the posters you see at your school sites. Goal 1, high academic achievement. Goal 2, access and equity for all students. Goal 3, student and family engagement. And goal 4, 21st century learning. So that's how we organize our LCAP. We took the 8 and consolidated them into 4. If we scroll down, there's all kinds of information in this, and I won't read it to you, but essentially it talks about, the plan talks about conditions of learning, like basic services. The LCAP pays for turning the lights on in the school. It pays for the principal, it pays for the teachers, it pays for basic supplies to run our school. Title I is supplemental funding. We get to augment that to support our students. But we are required to follow all of these rules essentially, and the focus in the LCAP is our low-income students, our multilingual students, and our foster youth. So those are the unduplicated student counts that we focus on, which in our district is the majority of our students. In May, I think it's the next meeting, it'll either be it's going to be Dr. Pamia. She's going to be presenting, this is the LCAP, the Local Control and Accountability Plan that we have developed in consultation with our families, with our teachers, with our principals. How many of you got the LPAC survey this week? How many of you filled it out? What did I say? Did I say LPAC? LPAC, LCAP, they really need to work on our acronyms. They're too close. If you're a multilingual family, you did receive a needs assessment for English learners, in addition to the Local Control and Accountability Plan, or LCAP survey. And if you want your voice heard, you fill out the survey. And I'm not gonna lie, it's an annoying survey. I took it this week. It has a lot of questions. It goes goal by goal by goal. What's going well? What do you think we need to do? Do you have any other ideas? So in addition to coming to the meeting in May, that's one avenue for sharing input. But if you really want to get in there and put your thoughts and your ideas, take the survey. Tell your friends to take the survey. Brenda, put your ideas in the survey, right? Because the LCAP is for all of our students, and the basic services we provide. Our Title I is additional supplemental funds, but all of that is something we should be doing. So that's how you ensure that you're not relying on just me to carry the water to the meeting, right? Put it everywhere. So please fill out the survey. It took me probably 20 minutes. It's not that bad, but it's not a quick click, 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 done. Yay, everybody's doing great. Love it, love it, love it, love it. They're asking for your ideas.
The reason why we ask for that is we use it to guide our decisions for next year. So, and we write it in this year's LCAP. We say we surveyed, and if we got 50 responses, we will say what the 50 responses told us. If we get 500 responses, we'll say what the 500 responses told us, right? And then we have to show how that we're responding to that. So if everybody says they love everything and everything's good to go, that gives us a good reason to keep doing what we're doing. But if there are things that we want to kind of tweak, we can say, you know, the feedback says that we want to tweak or we want to change a little bit, do a little adjustment here and there. That gives us the opportunity to make those adjustments. So we ask our staff, we ask all of the employees in Lawndale, and we ask all of the families in Lawndale to give us their opinion about that.
Does the amount of the response matter that you change it or you consider changing it, or no, just one?
If I get one response, we'll put that one response in, right? That voice matters, but every voice matters. The one thing I will say about it is that if I get 500 responses back and 400 say A and 100 say B, I can say that there are kind of different experiences going on, and these are the experiences of this group and this group, and that creates a larger, more valid kind of a conversation to be bringing forward for us to be making those adjustments.
And how do we bring that, like, just say hypothetically, we have some parents that are intimidated by the survey or overwhelmed by the survey, because that's not how they respond. Is there a way that we can get parents, maybe school side by school side, to respond to the survey so that we're at least getting a written version of it? So that way we still have their input opposed to just depending on what comes through the internet?
Thank you for that question. I want to be really clear that the survey is not the only way to give your input. So we do ask every one of the school sites to bring forward LCAP conversations within their school site councils, maybe in the PTA, maybe in a coffee and chat, so that there can be more informal conversations. And then administrators will take that input and they'll take notes, and then they provide us with those notes. So for example, we had a meeting with some staff and we did that informally. And then we told the staff and the administrators who are part of it, when you go back to your sites, if this is a way that works for you, here we have some slides and you can go ahead and have this kind of a conversation with, so it becomes more of an informal, just qualitative, just us talking about it, and then they can take that data that way.
And I'll say you can always go to one of your fantabulous community liaisons.
Liaisons is another way.
Say, hey, could we have a little, coffee get together and, fill it out once, but we'll all contribute our ideas and you write it for us. Or, any way you can get that in is great. Or we'll set up laptops and say, anybody who wants to just get in there and go to town on it, come on in, have some coffee and fill it out. If you want to have a conversation and I'll be the scribe, come on over. And we'll do it. The thing is, it's a time-sensitive issue. It's due by Friday. I think it's by Friday. So, and if I'm thinking, Shira, you had all these lovely ideas too. And if when you filled it out, you didn't put those ideas in, go in again, and tell a friend about it so it can go in.
Yeah.
I thought I saw you raise your hand. So.
The good thing is, like I always try to share like my experience, especially because I have 4 children. So I get that reminder overwhelmingly 4 times. But I also try to consider parents that are overwhelmed by that and they miss it, because I also think about the low number meetings that we do have. And if there's a different way that we can communicate with parents, because I know, and I feel kind of bad for the district. You guys get a lot of what you should do, what you should change, and there's not enough parent involvement to kind of help you guys make those changes, opposed to just being negative in the things that you guys are not changing because we haven't done a survey or we haven't attended any space to give you the feedback that would help every student. So my goal is to try to figure out another way to get you guys that information so that we can make a district. Not that we're going to please every parent, but at least we'll be able to bring a little bit of balance to things that we are working on. Even if we have to show them the chicken scratch that we wrote it on, there was 16 parents here, at least the chicken scratch parents got reported as well. So that's, another way to always make sure that we're showing parents that we're being involved instead of just the nice pictures that we post. We can also post, and you guys do a very good job at that as well, posting the written papers that we do show out as well. Just so that we can always say, no, we were sitting on the floor writing it. No, we had it in every meeting at your school site. And if you missed, that's okay. What do you have now that we can add to that information? So that's always the goal.
So kind of based on what we'll be doing next month, we'll kind of create a presentation for the group so that you can see kind of where we are moving toward. And my one kind of preparation for that for you is to understand that it's a 3-year plan. So we made the plan last year, so we are in year 1. So year 2 is mostly, we think in 3 years, because we realize that in 1 year to next, we can't make big changes, So they'll just be like little kind of tweaks. And then we'll show you kind of what those tweaks look like. And then we do a whole big process every 3 years. But then in between, this is an in-between year. Okay, so last year we had a big process.
I do want to say, we have tremendous help from you parents already. I think of the Families with Special Needs Support Group. That was an outgrowth of this group because the parents saw a need and wanted to do it. I think of the the PALS program or the public health ambassador leaders that we have that said, I'll do the training and I'll bring it to my school site and we'll get more information about attendance and vaccinations and mental health. Speaking of which, I think we have an announcement over here from our president about PALS.
Yes, I'm so happy because we're gonna have our first workshop in Rogers about mental health. So it's gonna be May 22 at 10 a.m. So we're gonna post it so we can invite all the parents that want to participate on the workshop. So thank you, our community license. I'm so happy with her. I'm so happy with her because she's so great.
At a time.
Yeah, she helped us a lot.
And that's the importance, right, of partnering up with your community liaison whose their whole job is to help parents. That's their whole job. So work with them. And I'm thrilled because I know you've been trying to get that launched at Rogers because Twain's got a group going. I think Anderson's got a group, but Rogers is on the map now. So because you nudged and took the training and asked. And so that's what we're asking for. So thank you for that. And speaking of which, I'm just gonna leave I have to unshare and reshare. Go back to the slide deck. I know we're at time. I wanted to make sure that you have what the LCAP is, so you feel prepared coming for our next meeting. And then, whoops, sorry guys. Now you're getting to see the wizard behind the curtain, and this isn't much of a wizard. This wizard can't figure out what she's doing. Where's my, okay, let me find the press. This isn't, I'm just gonna say in my defense, this isn't my laptop.
Don't
I'm
worry
trying to-
about it. It's okay.
But,
Yeah.
no judgment here. Thank you. I appreciate it. Where's the presentation? Oh, there we go. It looks just like what I had up. So I just want to make sure that we highlight some upcoming dates because we have other opportunities for you, other leadership opportunities. One, May 1st, which is Thursday, is another board meeting. ELOP, RAP, and RISE. ELOP is our Extended Learning Opportunities Program. RAP we've been talking about. RISE is our program for African American students, 3rd grade and up, who learn a lot about just opportunities, financial management, going to college, opportunities. They will be presenting, as well as the school spotlight will be Adams. And I see a smile over there, my Adams families. If you've watched these in the past, every month a different school presents and you get to hear about all the wonderful things they're doing. So if you can't be there in person, just jump on YouTube. You can watch that part while you're making dinner. I love to do that part because it's easy. And or if you need interpretation, remember you need to request interpretation 72 hours ahead and log in via Zoom. But that's there for you. In addition, our upcoming meetings. So the one I've been talking about, May 14th, that's our, I used to call it DPAC, but now we have so many parent committees. I'm just calling it all parent advisory committees. This is your chance to come and hear Dr. Pamelia share our LCAP plan and give feedback. Our next special needs family support group will be on May 20th. That'll be the final one for the year. So if you haven't joined before, this is a great time to come. And then on May 28th, that will be our last meeting for the year, and that's our celebration of our parent leaders. And so I hope you can all be there and just we'll celebrate the wins this year, all the great things that have been happening, have some coffee and cake and, plan for next year. So thank you, everybody, for your time and all your great ideas. I know we'll be working together on a few of these to get them going. And we look forward to seeing you on May 14th.
On the May 1st one, is it a Zoom meeting or is it?
The board meeting is May 4th is May 1st. The board meeting, May 1st, is in person or you can log in via YouTube and watch it, or you can request interpretation and log in via Zoom. So it's multiple ways to do it.
Thank you for
What
clarifying.
time will that one be at?
It starts at 5 o'clock. And that's a little bit of a misnomer because it starts at 5, the board opens, and they go straight to closed session. So typically the real meeting doesn't start till about 5:15, 5:30. It depends on the day. What I like to do is if I'm not there personally, I just turn on my YouTube and go about my business and just wait to hear, okay, it's on, and then I jump on. All right, so I hope to see you in person or via the internet at any or all of these meetings. And go to your SSE meetings and go approve your plans. So they're ready for the June 5th board meeting. And thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. And thank